So there is now another version of Basket Case available on Blu-ray. The UK outfit Arrow has now released a version of Basket Case, a special edition version of Basket Case. It comes in this wonderful foil box that kind of resembles the kind of wicker box of Belial's basket. And is it worth it? Now, you may be gun shy, okay, because we've had a lot of years of Basket Case on home video. Of course, there were the initial versions that Media Home Entertainment put on VHS, that iconic VHS, which showed up in pretty much every video store that's ever been out there in the U.S. It had that U.S. Basket Case VHS, and then there was, I think, a really bad-looking Laserdisc. Well, I don't know if there was a Laserdisc, but in 1994, they released Image Entertainment, which is they released a special edition Basket Case Laserdisc, which looked a little bit better. And I've been told, I've never seen it myself. And then in the year 2000, we had from Something Weird Home Video. Of course, the director, Frank Henenlotter, had been working with Something Weird Home Video. We had this special edition DVD with commentary and interviews and a look at the locations, a search for the Hotel Broslin, where they were going around, walking around with this rapper, R.A. the Rugged Man, throughout New York, looking at the locations. And it was a wonderful package. And then a few years ago, in 2012, I believe, another UK company, Second Sight, released this set of all three Basket Case films, Basket Case 1 and its sequels, Basket Case 2 and Basket Case 3, in wonderful artwork. And that release had a really good, I think almost feature-length documentary called What's in the Basket. And so we've had so many beautiful releases of Basket Case. Is this new version of Basket Case worth buying? The answer is yes, an emphatic, absolutely, definitely. This is an incredible, almost definitive release of the movie. First of all, the movie has been remastered by the Museum of Modern Art. They have done a incredible restoration. Restoration is the correct term. I mean, Basket Case, I mean, that original DVD, it didn't look that bad. You know, I mean, it looked like a 16mm film. And then the Blu-ray, which Something Weird released, which was basically kind of like the DVD ported to the transfer, the HD transfer ported to Blu-ray. It was pretty good as well. It looked pretty damn good. I mean, it was like kind of grainy, but but the film was shot in 16mm. The Arrow Films Blu-ray looks incredible. The Arrow Films Blu-ray looks mind-blowing. It looks incredible. It's I mean, it looks like a film. It looks filmic. It has grain, but there are elements, there are parts of it that look like they're almost 35mm. It was taken from the original negative, and there are some points where you see they kind of had to go to like a print, and the quality kind of very slightly goes down, but you really would have to look very hard to even notice that. And the night scenes have this blue tint to them, which was in early video transfers. They didn't keep that kind of blue tint, like at the very end with Dwayne Bradley's his girlfriend's house. It's like this eerie blue tint, and when he's around at night, some of the night scenes, Casey's scene at night where she's on her bed sleeping, this, very moody, so the colors of this film, you know, from the blue tint to the night to the daytime to the scenes of the 42nd Street Grindhouse, it's incredible. It's a great film, and it's a great transfer. The extras in this on this release are stacked. I mean, this is like, I mean, Arrow Films really is like the Criterion collection of B-movie horror, European film. They really have picked up the gauntlet, really. And there's very few other companies that are working at that high a level. In fact, I think sometimes Criterion themselves kind of get stuck in this fetishistic thing with packaging and covers and things. And I think Arrow, it's like neck and neck, really. Arrow Films is really and a few years ago, remember, Arrow Films was not at this level, and they kind of stepped up their game, and they released an incredible version of Fulci's Zombie. Then they've just kept on releasing incredible versions of these films, and Basket Case really continues in that tradition of excellence. We've got most of the extras from the Something Weird releases. We've got the old commentary track by Henenlotter and the crew members, Scooter McRae and everybody. And we've got a new commentary track by Henenlotter and Kevin Van Hentrick, the lead actor who plays Dwayne Bradley. He was not in the original commentary track, I believe. So I haven't listened to that commentary track, but we've got like in 2017, this restoration of the film premiered at the Museum of Modern Art, and they have then they've shot the Q&A. The Q&A is there. There's interviews with other crew members. There's a weird, strange interview with Frank Henenlotter, where he seems to have really, in recent years, have toned up and de-aged very well. That's a weird. There's all kinds of these weird, quirky little extras in this release that I love that Arrow Films have embraced the lunatic insanity of Basket Case, and they've allowed Henenlotter to shoot these new kind of, there's this piece called Basket Case 3.5, which is basically kind of like an interview with Van Hentrick as he in character as Dwayne Bradley, where he's talking about, well, yeah, you were basically catching up on Dwayne Bradley and Belial, a number of years after Basket Case 3. And it almost is weird. I don't know if this is like a setup to Basket Case 4, because back in a few years ago, in that Second Sight Blu-ray release, Henenlotter talks about how he'd come up with an idea for Basket Case 4. So I don't know if this featurette in the Blu-ray is kind of a setup for Basket Case 4. I don't know. But, I mean, this thing is packed. Interviews with everybody. It has the Second Sight documentary, that feature-length documentary, which covers Basket Case 1, 2, and 3. Interviews everybody that wants to be interviewed, because, of course, the lead actress in Basket Case, Terry Susan Smith, I believe that's her name, she's kind of dropped out of the film world. There's some radio interviews with her on the Something Weird releases that are not included here. That's the only kind of notable kind of hole in this film, is there's no reference to Terry Susan, the girl with the blonde wig in the film. no reference to her. But other than that, I mean, the extras, of course, you've got the trailers and the still galleries and all of that good stuff. Interview upon interview upon interview on this release. Some of the stuff, like Beverly Bonner, like there was a preview of her TV show on the Something Weird, that's not included, but we get a lot of her in the film, a lot of up-to-date interviews with everybody, circa 2017 interviews with all the cast and crew, Beverly Bonner and Edgar Ivans and Henenlotter and all that good stuff. And we also get this famed short film that Henenlotter, I'd heard about it on the original Something Weird DVD release, Slash of the Knife. The Slash of the Knife. Now, I thought this was like a slasher movie from the name of it, based on the title, but it's actually this like medical hygiene short film. It's like a parody of like medical hygiene 50s like the kind of stuff that like Dave Friedman and Kroger Babb, like they would tour around with these movies, and the whole gimmick of these movies was that they would end with like live color footage of the birth of a baby, you know, and the whole thing about it's a medical, like a sex scare film, like a hygiene film, where it's like about slashing the knife. It's about the dangers of not circumcising your children, of the uncircumcised male, and how not circumcising a simple, quick medical procedure. If you do not circumcise your children, it will lead to a life of ruin. And so, at the beginning of this film, a brutish father balks at paying $3 to have his son circumcised, and he's like, sew it back on, and they do sew it back on, and the son grows up to lead a life of ruin. But it's like Frank Henenlotter, so it goes incredibly insane. It gets to insane depths and involves claymation, foreskin, kind of Cthulhu monster claymation. It is insane. I do not want to ruin it, but it's a very well shot, like a parody of like a 50s, 60s, like B-movie, like sex hygiene film. And it's incredibly well done. And it's something that would be perfect for something. I wonder why Henenlotter never came up with the idea of doing like, putting Slashing the Knife in like this kind of like a groove tube, tunnel vision Kentucky Fried Movie type anthology, because that's what it kind of feels like. It feels like the movie that would a sequence that would cap off, like, you know, one of those 70s and 80s like anthology comedy films, as I said, like, you know, Tunnel Vision or Kentucky Fried Movie. It's that type of like incredibly crazy comedy, but it's Frank Henenlotter level comedy, so it's taken to an insane degree. Like all of these like sex hygiene movies, they would all end with like, or a few of them, like the Kroger Babb type, would end like, it would be in black and white, but at the very end they would have like color footage of like a live baby being born. And so the gimmick was, come see men and women naked, but in a medical context, so it was okay to show in these little southern towns, and then see footage of a live baby being born. And there is footage like that at the end of Slashing the Knife, but it's insane. It's Henenlotter insane. And then Slashing the Knife also has all of these little roles by people who were in Basket Case. Even Dr. Cutter. At the very end, there's like this. At the very end of Slashing the Knife, there's like this really quick parody of like the Will Rogers, like those Will Rogers films that they would show in movie theaters of like, you know, for just 5 cents a day, you can just give anything you have. But it's like introduced by this Beverly Bonner character, and she's wearing the same red dress that she wears in Basket Case, and it's crazy. So it's full of these little short cameos and roles from all of these actors who are in Basket Case. So it's Slashing the Knife. Even that's, and it has commentary and still galleries, Slashing the Knife itself. So even that little film, that's worth, I don't think it's ever been released anywhere else. Frank Henenlotter has been kind of, seems like embarrassed by it. And I thought, man, this must be some like amateur, like 16 millimeter shoot in an afternoon type of film, and it's not it. I mean, Slashing the Knife looks very professional. It's this very professional recreation of 50s, 60s black and white grindhouse hygienic con artist ripoff movie type film. It's great. And if you love those kind of something weird video, Dave Friedman, that type of stuff, this is like right up your alley. This is an incredible film. So the whole package is great, from a Slashing the Knife to all the featurettes and the documentaries, and they have that, you know, as I said, What's in the Basket, the long documentary about Basket Case 1, 2, and 3, the commentary tracks, the 2 commentary tracks, and then a wonderful restoration of the film. There's even an interview with Joe Bob Briggs in New York. I guess he lives in the New York area right now. There's a Joe Bob Briggs interview because remember Joe Bob Briggs saw Basket Case in Cannes and he wanted to do the U.S. drive-in premiere in Irving, Texas. And he is the guy who's credited with getting the distributor to start distributing the uncut version of Basket Case, because initially when Basket Case was initially released, it was not a big hit. The distributor Analysis released a cut version, and after Joe Bob, it started to pick up steam. So there's even a little interview with that. It's a beautiful little completist collection here with a lot of wonderful extras. It's you know, if you love Basket Case, and Basket Case is such a unique film, it's almost it's such a unique concept. I mean, it's a gimmick film. It is kind of like Herschel Gordon Lewis meets Larry Cohen in New York, but it's so, you can't really say, oh, this is just, it doesn't add up. It's so uniquely Frank Henenlotter. You know, it's a unique vision, and it's such a unique idea. This guy with his little Siamese twin brother in a basket, running around New York, grindhouse, 42nd Street, avenging the doctors who separated them. I mean, it's such a wild, strange concept, and it's executed in such this loopy, wacko way. You can't help but not love it. You know, it's so wacko. It just can't help but just like leap into the mainstream and become like iconic. And the whole Belial, this kind of Gumby from hell with the glowing eyes. Wow, great film. And you just have to, you know, it's like I can't even like hype the movie enough. You just got to watch it to enjoy it, or maybe you might hate it. I don't know. You know, it's great. And this Arrow Blu-ray is incredible.